For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are in trouble. They need to beat Minnesota 3 straight times to avoid elimination in the NBA playoffs. The Lakers are down 3-1 after losing at Minnesota Sunday, 116 to 113. Lakers coach J.J. Redick confirmed that he does not have confidence in his bench, which was outscored Sunday 25 to 6. Redick played LeBron, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith the entire second half. The group might have worn down in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were outscored 32 to 19 in the quarter and made only 5 of 18 shots. LeBron and Doncic were combined 1 for 8 and 0 for 3 on three-pointers. LeBron still had a strong game with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 3 block shots. Doncic had 38 points and Hachimura dropped 23, but that wasn't enough. A must-win Game 5 for the Lakers is Wednesday in L.A. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories. And as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
So before I get to my scheduled guest in this third and final hour of our program today, that would be Marcus Collins, talking about the current status of Brand America, 100 days into Trump 2.0. What is the value of our brand around the globe? And after Marcus Collins, we'll talk to Ron Gooden, a black man, professor in fact, living with an Alzheimer's diagnosis. So a full hour here in our third and final of the day. But let me go straight to Capitol Hill with my colleague, Nicola Corte. On my home station in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580, he hosts his own program called A More Perfect Union. He is also our White House correspondent, but at the moment, he is on Capitol Hill with an update on what is happening to our friend and brother, the Reverend Dr. William Barber. As you know, he is the founder of Repairers of the Breach, a friend of this program on here many times, but he is one of the great moral leaders in our country today. He has taken up the mantle of continuing to organize poor people in the vein of the greatest American I think we've ever produced, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I have great regard and great respect for the Reverend Dr. William Barber, who I am told is right now in custody. As I said in our last hour, there'll be many people having their say on the 100th day of Trump 2.0, and leave it to William Barber, as he always does, to speak up on behalf of the poor and the way they have been maltreated in this first 100 days. But Nicola Corte, tell me what you know. First of all, where are you? And then tell me what you know.
Hi, Tavis. I'm here in the Capitol Rotunda across from Emancipation Hall. How's that for irony?
Yeah.
Where the entirety of the Capitol Rotunda was briefly shut down due to a civil protest, really protest by prayer, led by Reverend Dr. William Barber.
Mm-hmm. So tell me what happened. As I understand it, they had a press conference at the Supreme Court, and then they marched to Capitol Hill. They arrived at the Capitol and were arrested. That's what I know broadly, but give me some more detail if you can.
Sure. Well, Tavis, as you know, Reverend Dr. William Barber's organization, Repairers of the Breach, had organized a coalition of folks who came out this morning on the steps of the Supreme Court to talk about the high moral stakes of the policy battle that is raging here in Washington related to the budget that is currently being considered in the House. Mm-hmm. They believe it's an immoral budget, a budget that includes a framework of cuts at least 1.5 to $2 trillion in spending. Anybody we know that relies on lifelines like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, beware. There may be an $880 billion cut to Medicaid alone. And so Reverend Dr. Barber and company launched Moral Mondays. Every Monday, they intend to be out here at the Capitol featuring real people stories, people who are impacted in real time by these budget cuts. This morning, we heard from a number of federal workers who were the victims of these mass firings. And we heard them not just share their story, but talk about what is at stake for the American people and how this does not serve American taxpayers. I witnessed Reverend Dr. William Barber walk from the Supreme Court, the steps of the Supreme Court, across to the Capitol, mm-hmm. through the Capitol to the Capitol Rotunda. Now, Tavis, you know that Reverend Barber is physically disabled.
That's right.
Reverend Barber walked using 2 canes from the United States Supreme Court to the Capitol Rotunda. While in the Rotunda, he and a core group of faith leaders led a prayer. Led a prayer inside the Rotunda. There was no ruckus. There was nothing that was disorderly about it. There was a Capitol Police officer that walked up and gave him a warning. He says he gave him 3. I heard 2. Mm-hmm. After the supposed 3rd warning, I see other officers appear with zip ties. And this is something I have never seen before, Tavis. They pushed out not just the staff that was in the Capitol Rotunda, but we, the members of the press, they pushed us all the way out of the Rotunda, down the stairs. A number of my colleagues in the press corps have never experienced anything like this before. It doesn't just look like and feel like a threat to the freedom to protest, freedom of speech, but the freedom of the press. And as you know, over the course of the past 100 days of the new Trump administration, these have been growing concerns in our country.
Yep. For those of you who know anything about the history of Reverend Barber, he's from Indianapolis and I'm from Indiana, so we're homeboys in that regard. But he spent a lot of years in North Carolina, and while in North Carolina, of course, he was president of the NAACP in the state of North Carolina. He is now at Yale University running his own program. But while in North Carolina as head of the NAACP, he started these Moral Mondays there. And it became a huge thing in the state of North Carolina. They were at the state capitol every Monday protesting. And so he's taken that frame of these Moral Mondays and now applied it toward what's happening in Washington. And as the New Quarterly said, they intend to show up every Monday and have their say about the issues that are impacting poor people in this country. Dr. King famously said that budgets are moral documents. That's King for you. Everybody quotes it. They don't give Martin the credit for it. Budgets are moral documents. You can say what you say, but you are who you are. When you put your budget on the table, we clearly see what your priorities are. And so that's what Reverend Barber and other faith leaders are protesting, the impact that this budget is going to have on everyday people, indeed poor people. Nicolai, so my understanding is that he is in custody at the moment. Have they taken him away from the Capitol already?
The last time that I laid eyes on Reverend Dr. Barber was as they were pushing us out of the Rotunda. Yeah. There were zip ties in the hands of the Capitol Police. They shut the doors. They wouldn't even let us film from outside the Rotunda. They closed the doors to the Rotunda. So at this moment, Tavis, we have not seen or heard Reverend Dr. Barber. Again, I would remind you that Reverend Dr. Barber is physically disabled. Yeah. And there's no sign that, based on the hostility that we felt that these Capitol police officers didn't seem inclined to treat him with the respect and care he deserves.
We talked earlier to Katrina Vanden Heuvel, and we started our program in the first hour and the second hour playing a clip of Scott Pelley last night on 60 Minutes talking about the resignation of Bill Owens as executive producer for the pushback they felt trying to do their job at 60 Minutes covering this administration. It's one thing to arrest Reverend Barber and other faith leaders. It's quite another to push the press out of the room, not allow the press to cover it. That's why Nick Cordelai keeps putting his finger on that point. This is what you're getting in Trump 2.0, that the press now is being denied access to cover stories of critical importance. I can assure you, if you're listening in L.A., where I sit right now, Dr. Corte will have more of this on his program today, and I suspect we'll get to it tomorrow on my national program when we have more details about what happened and the condition of Reverend Barber. For now, though, I thank my colleague Nicolai Corte for jumping here to give us the update on what we know at this hour. Nicolai, stay safe, and we'll be listening to your program later today, my friend.
Thank you, Tavis.
Thank you, sir. When we come forward, a conversation with Marcus Collins, award-winning cultural translator, author, U of M professor, about the current status of Brand America, 100 days in to Trump 2.0. And then on the backside of this hour, a conversation with a professor named Ron Gooden, a black man, about living with his Alzheimer's diagnosis. You are listening to Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
After producing an award-winning climate justice campaign in 2024, KBLA Talk 1580 has gone all in on its 2025 Climate Justice plus Black Health Initiative. April is Minority Health Month, and Urban Family Focus, in partnership with Providence Health Systems, presents The Heart of the Matter. Providence doctors and health equity officers will participate in informative and life-changing conversations on hypertension, health equity, behavioral health, and community engagement. Don't miss these empowering conversations on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 and Sunday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sponsored by Providence, Southern California's largest and most comprehensive health care network. We've got a lot to talk about on KBLA Talk 1580. Download the KBLA 1580 app or log in to KBLA1580.com. I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. On KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
You really about to do it? 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Testing.
We're live from Chick-fil-A.
This is Grant.
And this is Laura.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that sweet bun.
And that chicken filet was perfectly crispy and soft at the same time.
And that Smokehouse Barbecue sauce, it's a lot of fun. And the brown sugar bacon definitely had a little bit more pizzazz. Also, the mac, one of the all-time greats. Man, I'm getting hungry.
Order the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich and our Coca-Cola on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with award-winning culture translator, author, and University of Michigan professor Marcus Collins to give his assessment on the current status of Brand America 100 days into Trump 2.0. In case you've just tuned in this hour, we were just talking to our colleague, Nicola Corte, who is on Capitol Hill right now as Reverend Dr. William Barber and other faith leaders are being arrested. They had a press conference on the steps of the Supreme Court. They then marched over to the Capitol, and when they arrived in the Capitol Rotunda and knelt down to pray, they were arrested. But more than just arresting them, everybody in the Rotunda got pushed out, including the press. So the press has not been able to cover what happened to Reverend Barber, but there were zip ties in their hands of the Capitol Police, apparently to arrest Reverend Barber and others. And this is the danger of being in this moment where even the press is being maltreated and pushed out. We talked in our first and second hour today about the way the media is being put upon in the era of Donald Trump. If you didn't see 60 Minutes last night, I've already played it twice, what Scott Pelley had to say at the end of the program last night about the way that they're feeling squeezed at 60 Minutes, so much so that Bill Owens, the exec producer of 60 Minutes, resigned because of the way that they're being put upon with the stories they are telling journalistically or trying to tell journalistically, the pressure they're under from their parent company, Paramount, and its leader, Sherry Redstone, who's trying to get a merger through. And the staff at 60 Minutes are just concerned that their reporting may be compromised by all the politics in the era, again, of Trump 2.0. That said, Marcus Collins, thanks for your patience. Good to have you back on this program. My friend, how are you, sir?
I'm well. Good to be with you, my brother. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. Sorry again for that breaking news, but that does happen in live radio. So let me just jump in and make the most of our time. I'm always happy to have you back on. I know we can't do justice to all we were going to cover in the next less than 15 minutes, so we'll get you back on. But no time like the present, as we are at the point of Trump 2.0, 100 days in, to talk about the current status of Brand America. I don't need to say much more than that. Take it away, Marcus Collins. What is the status of our brand America?
You know, it's a dark day. As you open up the segment, you set the stage for where we are as a country, and that's what we are. But we think about a brand is what things mean. Mm-hmm. You know, the literature refers to a brand as an identifiable signifier. It means something. It stands in for something, which conjures thoughts and feelings in the hearts and minds of people. And I would say at one time, the brand of the United States, the brand of America, meant hope, meant optimism. It meant that there's a chance. And even though it wasn't perfect, it was like a product that's not perfect, but the brand signaled that there was something on the other side of this, that there was something that was worth sort of dreaming for and hoping for, that if the stars align, then great things could happen. But I think that level of optimism has been diminished drastically, so much so that the brand no longer signifies that. And I think that for many of us, not just people in the country, but outside the country, across the world, that a little bit of the light kind of goes out in what we think is possible.
Yeah. I want to play a quick clip here, and then I'll circle right back to Marcus and get his thoughts on this clip and more, talking in this half hour about the current status of our brand. What is the American brand worth these days? In this second iteration of the Trump administration. This is some audio right quick here, just about a minute or so, of Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin is the CEO of the global investment firm Citadel. So just keep in mind, this is the CEO of an investment firm with his POV, his point of view about the value, the current status of Brand America. Listen now to Ken Griffin.
The American brand, right? The United States was more than just a nation. It's a brand. It's a universal brand, whether it's our culture, our financial strength, our military strength. America rose beyond just being a country. It was like an aspiration for most of the world. And we're eroding that brand right now. And if you think of your behavior as a consumer, how many times do you buy a product with a brand on it because you trust that brand? You know you could buy like a similar dress with no name for less money, but You want the dress that you think is going to not fall apart in 2 weeks. You want the handbag that you think is well made. You want the television that you know that when you turn it on, it's going to work perfectly. You want the car that when you turn the engine on, it's going to run. And when it comes to money management, for example, there are many great American institutions whose the power of their brand, that they will deliver a fair service at a fair price, that they'll do well by their investors and put their investors' interests first, whether it's a BlackRock or Fidelity. These are global brands of immense power. But in the financial markets, no brand compared to the brand of the U.S. Treasuries. U.S. Treasury market, the strength of the U.S. dollar, and the creditworthiness of U.S. Treasuries. No brand came close. We put that brand at risk.
So, Marcus Collins, when you hear Trump's billionaire supporters like Ken Griffin, the CEO of the global investment firm Citadel, with that kind of commentary about the status of brand America, you hear and think what, sir?
He's right. He's absolutely right. You know, brands is something that we end up trusting. I love this construct for trust. It says trust is a mechanism that absorbs uncertainty. It absorbs the I don't know what. I don't know what's going to happen, but I trust the thing. I trust it's going to come through for me because of this uncertainty that's absorbed. And we think about it from a financial perspective, think about it from a functional perspective, from a social perspective, from an emotional perspective. The things that we trust have great, great value for us. That value is being eroded at an exponential rate. And the thing about brands is that brands are a long-term horizon. They take a lot of time to build, just like trust. Like trust happens in drips, but they're lost in buckets. That's exactly where we are right now. Over the decades, America's built this brand of possibilities that things can happen here. But what we're seeing is that reality is not only becoming less and less likely for people of color like us, but even if you're white and poor, that opportunity is becoming less and less of an opportunity for you. And what his billionaire friends are seeing now is that even they aren't absolved of that. That even if you're rich, that brand equity is starting to be eroded as well.
Yep. Give me that definition of trust again. You ran past it so quickly, but it sounded so good. I want to hear that again. Define that. Give me that trust definition again.
It's a mechanism that absorbs uncertainty.
Trust is a mechanism.
I don't know what.
Yeah, trust is a mechanism that absorbs uncertainty.
Exactly.
I love that. What happens to a brand when it has been irreparably damaged?
Oh, man. I mean, we see a lot of things happen. One, the perceived value of its products decline. Then they end up declining in market share, and ultimately they find themselves in a place of commoditization. And you can see how that would work for a country, too. At one time, a country could be considered sort of the darling of the globe, and like the States have been for a long time. But as that brand begins to erode, you start looking at the products and go, I think it's not that good. Doesn't even taste that good. Doesn't even drive that good. The pants don't even fit that well. The product features and benefits don't seem to be as compelling enough because they're not masked by the emotions and the cognitions that are associated to the brand. Then as a result, you go, this is just like any other car or any other tractor or any other shoes or any other jeans. They're just like everything else. And as a result, it loses its value.
Yeah. What do you make of, no naivete in asking this question, but what do you make of the fact that Donald Trump was in part elected because people regarded him as a better steward of the economy than Kamala Harris would have been, number one. But number two, this is the guy who is himself a brand. And whatever you think of his particular brand, he managed that brand to some level of success. Meanwhile, he is ruining and damaging and tarnishing brand America. It's an interesting irony for me, but what say you?
You know, I think that the brand of Trump as a businessman has been eroded for years. I don't think people fully believe that. However, Trump as a shortcut for a brand of nationalism, white nationalism, a brand of white superiority, that brand is strong. And the people who believe in that go, that's our guy. And whether you are on the higher end of the social hierarchy or the lower end of the social hierarchy, if you subscribe to that belief system, then you find yourself buying that brand, buying into that brand, because it's an identity project for you, even if the value propositions aren't benefiting you, which is very much like his policies. They're not benefiting people who are giving him support because what he represents, what he conjures is aligned with what they believe. And we buy the brands that are aligned with our identity projects.
Yeah. I loved your book, For the Culture, the power behind what we buy, what we do, and who we want to be. Again, it's a best-selling text that I recommend to you. It's called For the Culture, written by our guest, Marcus Collins. For the Culture, the power behind what we buy, what we do, and who we want to be. I wonder if I can get you to that subtitle to frame as best you can what this moment says with regard to what we are buying, what we are doing, and who we want to be, if that makes sense as a question, Marcus.
Yeah, totally. I think that as a country, we are buying into ideologies that have been very much about the foundation of this country, unfortunately. And I think that we as a body, as a people, have tried to move away from this and gotten better, which is, again, ties into this idea of the brand United States being of the better future than what it is today. But this reversion of who we are, or who we were, rather, starts to erode those things. So we're buying into old orthodoxies, and they become the signal of who we truly are. And unfortunately, who we want to be as a country. Unfortunately, also, it excludes a lot of us from that picture.
Yeah. What does this moment that we find ourselves in 100 days into the second version of the Trump administration, how does this moment turn this notion of American exceptionalism on its head, on its ear?
In marketing, we often say a good brand can mask a bad product. And I think that when the brand starts to erode, you then start to see that the product in many ways is a lemon. And the country had been masking its flaws by the brand that it meant to be, to symbolize. And I think today, 100 days in, we go, maybe we're not better than we thought we could be. Maybe we're just mediocre, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think I want to close with this as the extra question. We started this hour, and I, again, am grateful for your patience with that breaking news from Nicola Corte, who was at the Capitol when Reverend Barber and other faith leaders apparently were arrested with zip ties. The media, I say apparently because the media got pushed out of the rotunda. So we are waiting to get more detail about what's actually happened to Reverend Barber and those faith leaders who were kneeling in a protest of prayer inside the Capitol Rotunda. But they were protesting starting at the Supreme Court and then marching to Capitol Hill, Marcus, because they are upset, as they should be, about this budget. Dr. King said famously years ago, I love to quote him, that budgets are moral documents. Budgets are moral documents. When you put your budget on the table, I see your priorities and I know who you are. You can say what you say, but you are what you are. I know that when I see your budget. So the budgets, again, are moral documents. I got less than 90 seconds left here for you to opine on this. When it comes to this particular budget that is clearly going to harm a significant slice of the American electorate, certainly poor people, what does our budget say about our brand? What's the budget say about our brand?
I say the best brands not only pontificate a point of view in the world, they live up to it. They walk it like they talk it, as the Migos would say.
Yeah.
And budgetary actions are the kinetics that are receipts of what we truly believe. We can say we're all about the people, but at the moment that we find ourselves getting some pushback and we pull back DEI efforts, it says what we're really about. I think that this is an expression of our convictions as a company, as an organization, as a country.
Yeah.
Because of what we believe, we make the decisions that we make. Whether it's a budget, whether it's who we honor, who we dignify, who we villainize. And what we're seeing is the country showing its true colors, unfortunately, in this iteration.
any cultural translator, author, and University of Michigan professor that can break it down like that and quote Migos in the process is all right by me. Marcus Collins, I thank you for your insights. We'll do it again, my friend. I appreciate your time.
Always, sir.
All right. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The Whitney Plantation in Louisiana, dedicated to educating about slavery, lost federal grants due to a directive from the Trump administration. The museum stands to lose $55,000 for an exhibit on resistance to slavery. Former U.S. Labor Secretary Alexis Herman, the first black leader of the department, has died at 77. Nominated by Bill Clinton, she served from 1997 to 2001. Home burglaries in the Eaton Fire burn zone are up 450%, while Pacific Palisades remains flat. Altadena, an area with a large black population, has seen over 140 burglaries since the fires. Patrols in Altadena have doubled, but break-ins continue. And the Bob Marley documentary Marley is being re-released for his 80th birthday. Tough Gong Worldwide will stream it globally on July 15th and offer a special 80th Collector's Edition DVD with 2 hours of unseen interview footage. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are in trouble. They need to beat Minnesota 3 straight times to avoid elimination in the NBA playoffs. The Lakers are down 3-1 after losing at Minnesota Sunday, 116 to 113. Lakers coach J.J. Redick confirmed that he does not have confidence in his bench, which was outscored Sunday 25-6. Redick played LeBron, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith the entire second half. The group might have worn down in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were outscored 32-19 in the quarter and made only 5 of 18 shots. LeBron and Doncic were combined 1 for 8 and 0 for 3 on three-pointers. LeBron still had a strong game with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 3 block shots. Doncic had 38 points and Hachimura dropped 23, but that wasn't enough. A must-win Game 5 for the Lakers is Wednesday in L.A. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. californiabusinessworkshop.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader, Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
According to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, black adults are twice as likely as white adults to have Alzheimer's. And yet black folk are the least likely to join these clinical trials to study the impact of Alzheimer's on black people. We close our program today in conversation with an African-American brother named Ron Gooden, who is living with his Alzheimer's diagnosis. He is a former adjunct professor at Philadelphia Community College after experiencing frequent memory lapses and issues with word recall, even forgetting his students' names at times. He talked to his doctor and was diagnosed with what's known as MCI, mild cognitive impairment, also known as early Alzheimer's disease. I repeat once again that black adults are twice as likely as white adults to have Alzheimer's, and so often, too often, in fact, the diagnosis comes late. Ron has said, and I quote, "I hope my story will encourage others to overcome their reluctance and seek the help they need." So I commenced this conversation with Professor Gooden by asking him to tell us a bit more about his story. Sir.
It is my pleasure. Really, can you hear me?
I hear you very well. I hear you well.
Very well.
Yeah.
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and whoever is listening about what I hear now is pretty pervasive. A lot of my friends, I'm 80 now, so my guys are 75 to 85, and they're saying they've given up on the idea that they could have a better recall. You know, it's kind of easy. I know how it is. You get older, to just kind of let things go. But tell you the truth, man, I have always kind of responded when something was wrong. Like, what do I do now? What is the next step? This was a kind of a perfect example of that. I was sitting in a classroom. You alluded to it earlier. I'm in a classroom, and I'm having to say things like, "Where was I again, class?" They kind of let me go and snickered because, you know, I'm the old professor who can kind of get that. But it was devastating to me, Smiley, as I watched this descent. Like I said, it was about 5 years ago I noticed it. So I started doing as much research as I could because it really wasn't a lot of available information around, not with among the people I spoke to. And so I researched online and just kind of everywhere I could, and ran into something on Googled up that talked about a research thing that if you're over, I think it had to be 75 in that case. You had over 75. We're doing some research around this whole cognitive thing. So, I got into it, went to the doctor. They first have to assess that you do indeed have some kind of problem. Though they didn't have to tell me that, but they have to kind of go through that to make me an appropriate candidate for that.
Right.
Went through it. I've been in that whole program now about 4 years. What can I say? When that was happening, I had kind of given up. I was thinking, frankly, that I may as well retire from college. I mean, this academic thing with memory problems.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing my students a disservice, frankly.
Right.
And when COVID hit, it was right about that same time. I said, well, let's count this as some sort of omen. Let me bail on out. Went into the program. The team, and they went through a bunch of stuff, as they do in this program. Not only ways that you can enhance your memory by, like, using your left hand if you're right-handed, walk around in the dark as much as you can, forcing your brain to work. And frankly, I know that the toughest thing for the old guys like me to do is force our brain to work.
Right.
It's just easier or multiple ways. Not exercising, just a bunch of things you can say, I'll do it tomorrow, or I won't do it at all because I'm already 80.
Yeah.
That is that excuse we kind of tell ourselves, I'm already 80.
Yeah.
At this point, I have to say I'm feeling like I'm the most blessed guy in the world because my confidence had gone about 5 years ago and into 4 years and 3 years. Since I've been on the program, my confidence is back. I'm back to work. I had stopped working, called it a retirement.
Yeah.
Well, it's time for me to retire.
Yeah.
Figuring I'm successfully retired, a couple of dollars coming in from Social Security and pension and all that. So everything led to why should I? But, man, I am now doing some counseling work. I am working at our Philadelphia courthouse. I'm just, I'm renewed, we'll say.
I like that word renewed. I like the word confidence as well. When you say the confidence is back, what do you attribute that to? What brought the confidence back? You talked about the program, and I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons for this conversation is to try to convince our people that these clinical trials have value. And if they don't see any of us in these clinical trials, then we can't get to a place where there's enough information, enough data to help them help us. And so I appreciate being able to talk to one who is in one of these particular programs. But when you say that the confidence is back, to what do you attribute the confidence returning?
Multiple things.
Okay.
Great question. One is that I now see that, even when my memory falters, even when I forget stuff, that's okay. You kind of keep it moving. Don't get ready to shoot yourself because you're slipping a little bit that way.
Right.
Specifically, and again, I'm not saying that everybody will have the kind of success that I've had, but they will, I guarantee, the alternative of just putting your head in the sand and not doing anything about it will result. If nothing is done, then nothing is done, and you'll be in the same place. I can say that I have improved largely because, one, the doctor I have, neuro guy, that's what he's been doing for 25 years.
Sure.
My team within that whole program, I've got 4 people and my doctor, and they every 2 weeks we go back and we get a medication. I think what's it called? Leqembi is the medication I get. IV.
Yep.
It's been approved by the AMA and all the appropriate people. I checked that out. It's one of 2 medications approved to do that.
Yeah.
The company organization is called ASI, and everybody is given a team to work with, 4 people and the doctor.
Right.
And besides doing things, intellectual type things that force your memory to go to work, if my memory's being exercised on a regular basis, because when you leave that program, a couple hours every 2 weeks, they still give you all kinds of things to do at home. And, my wife used to say, my memory problems were all about selective memory. I remember all the things I want to.
That sounds like something a wife would say. Hold that thought. That's funny. Selective memory. I think we've all been accused of that in relationships. I digress on that part for now before I get myself in some trouble. But I do want to ask him about this medication that he is taking. It's pronounced Leqembi, and it's spelled. These medications always have these funny spellings. So if you're listening and you're curious about the medication he's on, that he is saying, along with his team and his process, have helped him hold on to and regain his memory. It's spelled Leqembi, Leqembi, Leqembi. If you want to look it up for yourself. But we'll talk more about it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Before I get back to Ron Gooden, professor, college professor, living with early stage Alzheimer's and his story. We'll get to that in a second here, or back to it. I want to run through right quick some facts about black people specifically and Alzheimer's. I mentioned earlier that black Americans are twice as likely as older white Americans to have Alzheimer's or other dementia. But what I didn't say is that the research has not as yet identified the cause. Why does this disparity exist? Research has not yet been able to tell us why black folk are twice as likely as white folk to have to live with and deal with Alzheimer's and other dementia. Only 20% of black Americans say they have no barriers to excellent health care and support for Alzheimer's or other dementias. Half of black Americans say they have experienced discrimination while seeking care for themselves or a loved one living with Alzheimer's. Only 48% of black Americans report being confident that they can, in fact, access culturally competent care. Only 53% of black Americans believe that a cure for Alzheimer's will be distributed fairly without regard to race, color, or ethnicity. Only 35% of black Americans say that they are concerned about Alzheimer's or dementia, and 65% of black Americans say they know somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. That's a high number. 65% of black Americans who know somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. Wanted to run through that list pretty quickly, but just give you some quick facts about Alzheimer's and black folk in particular. But the key takeaway is that while older black Americans are, again, twice as likely as older white Americans to have Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia, the research as yet has not identified the cause. Why is that? We don't know. Hence, clinical trials and our need to be engaged and involved in these clinical trials so that the research and the data can give us more intel about why this reality exists, and more to the point, what can be done about it. We'll return to Ron Gooden and get a bit more of his story and how he's navigating this tricky terrain of Alzheimer's and his medication. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cow Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wager bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Ron Gooden. Again, in case you've just tuned in, Ron Gooden was an adjunct professor at Philadelphia Community College. When he realized he was struggling to recall words, would lose track of his thought mid-sentence, oftentimes forget the names of students. And so at 76, he went and got tested. And was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's disease. And we've heard in this hour from him about his symptoms. We heard from him the tipping point that convinced him that he needed to get tested and become a part of this program. But tell me, you mentioned this medication that you're taking. Tell me more about it and whether or not this Leqembi medication is working for you, sir.
Yes, sir. I absolutely believe it is working for me. Mm-hmm. And you know, I don't know what might work for someone else, but I do know that the answer is not to do nothing.
Right.
Reach out. I think most people will be surprised. And as I'm going through this process, this doctor and others are saying people are changing. People are getting better. Those memories are, wow, just improving mightily, as is mine. As a matter of fact, I didn't mention it before about the process we go through. I talked about them exercising the brain in really small ways, like walk around in the dark, sometime in your home, using your left hand instead of your right. But to be more specific, this Leqembi, the process really, besides Leqembi, I get MRIs, PET scans, and memory tests on a regular basis. So, you know, my doctor confirmed that even though my disease, because of those kinds of tests, they confirmed that even though my disease hadn't got markedly better, it hasn't worsened. And to me, that is huge, knowing that and knowing that, you know, I can do little notes on things that I should remember, copious notes, because they'd be pretty comprehensive. But I do that and do that on a regular. So they also do brain exercises like flashcards. And even though I don't always want to exercise, because exercise is physical exercise as well as these mental exercises is a recommended way to go. And I have to admit, the benefits of staying both physically active and mentally active have changed me to the better. You know, nobody tells me. Go ahead.
No. You're fine. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just looking at my time here. I want to get this exit question out of the way right quick.
I understand.
And give you 90 seconds to respond to it. What would you say? I've already addressed this a couple times. What would you say to black people listening right now who have refused to or have been scared of, but have not volunteered to be a part of any kind of clinical trial? What would you say to black people about clinical trials?
Welcome them. They're going to give you all the nuts and bolts. They're going to tell you, as they've told me, that while some of these things may cause side effects like amyloid-related abnormalities, allergic reactions, infusion-related reactions, I have experienced absolutely none of those. So we want to, go to a place that seems comprehensive. Do your own testing as you would AI or any other thing that you were doing. Go with that and watch what's happening. Use your head. All I can say is that this thing has been really perfect for me.
Yeah, I'm glad.
It's got me back.
No, I'm glad it's working for you. I'm glad it's working for you, and that's a beautiful thing. Again, I, for the third or fourth time in this conversation, just want to reiterate that while it is true that older Black Americans are twice as likely as older white Americans to get Alzheimer's or other dementia, we don't know why yet. And I want us to figure that out. I want them, the scientists, to figure that out so we can do something about it. Because all of us eventually has to do that dance with mortality. We're all getting older. It's only going in one direction, right? And so we need to figure this out sooner than later for my generation and the generations to come behind. Ron Gooden, I'm glad that you're doing well. I'm glad that your diagnosis is not getting any worse. That's a beautiful thing. And I, more importantly, thank you for your transparency in this conversation. I appreciate you, sir. All the best to you.
It is my pleasure. God bless you.
God bless you, man. Good to have you on this program. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Whitney Plantation in Louisiana, dedicated to educating about slavery, lost federal grants due to a directive from the Trump administration. The museum stands to lose $55,000 for an exhibit on resistance to slavery. Former U.S. Labor Secretary Alexis Herman, the first Black leader of the department, has died at 77. Nominated by Bill Clinton, she served from 1997 to 2001. Home burglaries in the Eaton fire burned